lot of music making, you know, it's a privilege to have an ability of some sort in whatever genre to convey this indescribable thing that music has. To not derive joy from it probably means, and I know this would be true in my case, that something has drawn me away from the joy. But it's a natural fact that creating music, especially spontaneously like that, is a very joyful occasion, even when it's solemn. But I really feel like what Christians and some Judaic people call the Holy Spirit has an awful lot to do with all of this. And the sooner in life one recognizes it, the more joy there is.
I first met Tony when I was 16. At Sun Studio, I was a tour guide and a studio intern. And Tony would come play on sessions and tune the piano. So that's how I first met Tony, and we became good buddies pretty much right away. And then I moved to Sam Phillips Recording Service, and Tony would come over there. And about 4 years ago, I got the opportunity to build this studio, which is kind of like a dream come true. And Tony helped me find a piano. And we went and looked at about 20 pianos, and he would play them and give me his thoughts, and we found kind of the magic piano. And Tony needed a place to play the organ, the piano, to rehearse and do all these things. And he's always just been a good friend, so I immediately gave him the key to the studio. So he's the only other person with a key here, and he comes every day and kind of plays the piano and practices the organ. And we just got to talking every day, you know, and having more and more fun with hearing him play out there. And he's an old studio cat, so he's got some amazing stories and insight on records. And then a couple years ago, he invited me to come record him playing the Wurlitzer pipe organ, which is a big deal at the Orpheum Theater. It's a 100-year-old pipe organ that no one gets to record anymore. And so it was really special for me to record him in this legendary venue for a couple days. And through that whole time, when he would come up here and practice on the organ, we started spitballing like what an organ trio record would look like. And we had the idea to have a mixture of like some of his favorite tunes that maybe like only hardcore jazz folks would know, and then also having some covers that anyone who looked on the back of the album would see a cover and go, is that song? And so we started kind of playing with those songs and what they would sound like. And over about 6 or 7 months, we kind of worked up 9 or 10 songs that we thought would be really special. And so we just a couple months ago got in the studio and we cut his record in 2.5 days and did it. So it's just been real fun to kind of be buddies and then almost like co-employees now, because we both have keys to the studio and everything.
First off, Memphis audiences are amazing. If you play music that resonates with a Memphis audience, we are more demonstrative, and we support artists on stage more than you find in other areas. And I've played in lots of areas. They're very, very fond of the music, as long as it's something that's accessible to them. So the vast majority of Memphians will treat a great opera singer with respect, but they will hoot and holler over a fine blues singing guitar player, because it's what relates to the population. And this is a musical seat. Out of a 60 to 80 mile radius of this place has come all the music basic that's fueled jazz, blues, rock, world music. They're doing things in world music that were developed in the delta of this country. right here, like I say, within an 80-mile radius. It is a hotbed of feeling. So playing anywhere here and playing to people that understand what you're doing is in itself a great experience. I've lived all over the place from time to time, but and people talk about crime, or they talk about well, you know, we don't have a great museum of modern art. Well, that's true, but we do have a great art museum, and we have a great symphony that, you know, can hold a candle to any symphony in this country, and it's all developed. I've had the privilege of watching all that stuff develop since I moved here in, like I said, 1972.
This record is the Tony Thomas 3, and it's Tony Thomas, obviously on organ, and Charlton Johnson, who's an incredible guitar player, plays with the Count Basie Orchestra on electric guitar, and then my good buddy King Coomer on drums. And Tony had played with Charlton a little bit and had met Ken, but this is the first time, actually on record, is the first time they all three played together. And Tony and I kind of talked about different songs and what the feel would be like, and we picked a mixture of kind of his favorite jazz songs that maybe most people don't know, and then we picked a couple of covers that everyone would know once they hear the melody that he worked up in a really amazing way. And Tony put a lot of amazing time and thought into how to make these songs his own. They're not covers. They could be thought of as, you know, reimagined Tony Thomas originals in a way. And Charlton and King came in, no rehearsals. We came in 3 days. We cut the whole record to analog tape, and we cut about 11 songs, and still figuring out which songs are going to make the record, because they're about 7 minutes long, so we can only fit so many on a record, but that might mean we have to do 2 at some point. So it was just real special to capture those guys in a room. It's reacting off each other. We only did 2 or 3 takes of each song. There's no rehearsals, so it's just them reacting off each other. And there's oftentimes the take we picked wasn't the take that was played perfectly. It was the take where they're just kind of winging it, and it goes to this magical area that none of them thought of, you know, on their own. So that's what it was fun for me. And I don't get to record a lot of jazz, so it was nice to get to do that, not having a vocalist making the B3 the vocal, you know, and Tony's of course playing the bass with his feet, so it was just fun to capture.
the rawness that you get. Once you, for example, just in musical terms, once we learned one of the tunes on this album, soon as we had it to where we could play it without anything that didn't speak the structure of the tune, the chords that we were going to use, and the basic beat, then it was a matter of which track felt the best. Sometimes in recording, sometimes you get a track that feels really good, but for some reason, technical glitch, you don't use it, or you have to take that cut and try to edit something. We try to avoid all that type of thinking. We pick the cuts that felt the best. And yeah, sure, there was a couple places where, I hit 2 notes when I meant to hit 1. We go and straighten that out. But other than that, it was as it should be. It was a conversation. In fact, the drummer used this the other day to me in an email. He said, I just felt like we went in there and had this conversation. He said, what more can you ask? That's it to me. That's what jazz, in a nutshell, improvisation amongst a group should be. Well, so you just said to me that your mother canned peaches. Wow, I love peaches. You know, my sister used to can peaches. And then you take that theme and but after a while, she really got more into vegetables. And that's kind of what improvisation in music is like. You settle on ideas, you pick up a fragment of an idea. One of our tracks is the song, What Is This Thing Called Love, which is an old Cole Porter tune. And then we couple that with a head from the bebop days called Hot House, which was a song. This is an old trick that a lot of the beboppers used. They took songs that everybody knew, but they constructed new melodies over them. And that got to be very popular. I Got Rhythm, the song by George Gershwin, has probably hundreds of rhythm tunes that have been composed in this manner. So on this tune, we decided to trade improvisation in 8-bar segments and then 4-bar segments. And what the idea is, you get a guy playing an idea or a gal playing ideas, and when they're coming to the end of their idea, you're listening, so you try to pick up where that idea left off, and you go into something else. That's the art of it. It's the fun of it. And the listener gets the benefit of a really interesting continuity throughout that solo area of the recording. First you hear something the organ player does, then you hear something the guitar player does. You might give the drummer might do some fills that gives you insight on what they do. But when you're trading these 4 or 8-bar segments, that gets like a group effort amazed at trying to convey the song and the sound of that song as a unit. And it's fun because you're playing for 8 bars, accompanying somebody, then you need to not only accompany them, but then pick up where they left off and do something else. And it doesn't have to be a perfect copy of it. It just has to seem like something that they would have gone on and played. But no, it's you're getting to go on and play. It's a wonderful art form.
One of my favorite parts about this album is it's jazz, but it's Memphis jazz. And I think once you listen to it, you'll know exactly where the players were from and where it was cut. You can immediately tell it's from Memphis. It's just a little bit not jazz purist world. It's not just like Booker T world. It's somewhere in between on some of these songs. And the whole record is kind of, we're all flying by the seat of our pants. And I feel like you can hear that in the best possible way. You can hear that in the music, in the recording, and you can tell immediately where it was cut when you hear it. And I think that was extra special for me because we're not trying to just be a Rudy Van Gelder, or we're not trying to do something that's already done before. We're just trying to be ourselves. And I feel like Tony really did that on this record. He put himself completely in there on the organ, and there's not many people left like Tony that can have such a handle on that instrument. That Hammond organ has a million variables to it, of how you can tone it, how you play it, how you can voice it. And Tony's one of the few people I know that actually knows his way completely around the Hammond organ. A lot of people just kind of fake it, but Tony, it's fun to hear him talk about the instrument. It's incredible to watch him play the instrument. And so I'm glad we got to capture that on tape for you guys to hear.
I can describe to you the feeling to be in this space with those individuals, the guitarist Charlton Johnson, the drummer Kenny Coomer. We were only separated by about 15 feet, so we were very much in eye contact with each other. And what I really enjoyed was that no one ever had to tell someone else, hey, pay attention, I'm fixing to do this or I'm fixing to do that. We all just had this look at each other and this ability to see each other and work as a unit, very much in the way you do when you're in a live band situation, which I think may be part of the reason why we got the feel off this album that we did. It's very hard to do studio work and get anything but a clean, antiseptic, perfect recording. It's real hard to get live energy in studio recordings, but I've just found it was as easy as having a conversation with you. And it was just so easy for us to get on the same page because of the way we were set up, but also because of the sound in the room. We did our rehearsals without using the headphones because you could hear the other instruments so perfectly, no matter where you were sitting, that you could play along with them. And the only reason I used headphones is so if I needed a little more organ, I had that on a special button. I could turn it up or down, and because that will influence the way a person's playing. If they're hearing themselves too much, they might become a little timid. So you get yourself in the perfect mix for you. But that's the spontaneity. It's there. You wanted one word? Spontaneous. This is very much a spontaneous meeting of the minds. We knew the material and the equipment well enough to come in here and do it, but the spontaneity of it is what the listener hears. The listener hears, it's just stuff in here that makes me laugh out loud. I don't know, that could be a bad description if you took it out of context, but it's just so joyful and so full of feeling.
The whole time you're mixing, you're playing it back, you're all these versions, and you're not sure, is this good anymore? But the minute you play it back on the vinyl, then you're like, this thing's great, it's done. Because it's done at that point. And there's something about how it sounds differently in multiple ways at that point to you.
Our initial release will be a vinyl release. And vinyl, in my opinion, is a superior way to do sound in an analog manner, has limitations. A single vinyl disc can only hold so many minutes of material. And if you crowd too much, you start compromising the fidelity you can get, so you're limited. Well, we cut 10, including we're remaking one that didn't settle, and it was a very early take on a very early tune, and so we walked away from it and spent the rest of our time on the stuff that was feeling good. This tune is well worth our going back. So we'll have 10 tunes. We'll probably only put 6 or 7 on this record. So that says, well, we need to do some more tunes in this style, keep it in this flavor, and then we'd be ready for either a second release, or we could release it as a double double LP. We don't really know which way to go, but there are umpteen tunes that come to mind that would lend themselves to this. What do you say? Refashioning. Tunes that are solid songs that just cry out for this kind of improvisation, that it will work. And one of the things I found out about Kenny Coomer is that he likes to read the lyrics to tunes before he plays them. And I think that's, that resonated with me. I don't always do that, but when I do, it usually influences the character of what I'm going to play. We'll make these choices, and I'm going to want to know if it's songs that I'm not familiar with. I mean, we do "She's a Lady" by Tom Jones on here, which of course now in modern times, the lyrics to "She's a Lady" are not something that everyone would enjoy hearing. But it's a great song written by Paul Anka, and it's an incredible format for this improvisation. I guess one of the best experiences I had was I got a call one day that U2 was in town, and U2's got an incredible musician that they call the Edge. I don't know what the guy's name is, but he's amazing. His rhythm guitar playing is impeccable, and he arranges for that band, and he plays keyboards. But this was all going to be cut simul. With video, and it was an album they were cutting as contributing cuts to a retrospective on Woody Guthrie, and they needed they wanted organ on 2 of the tracks, and I was since I was recording a lot on keys and organ, I got the call. So I was sitting there, I was in there with these, and they turned out to be just great, super average, ordinary guys, like Joe Walsh would say. Just really very fun to work with, and of course, playing with that rhythm section, you could be drunk and sound pretty good. But they used me on 2 of those cuts. Don't know what happened to that recording, and I've never heard it. But I would say that was a really great moment working with that kind of artistry. And it's just been so many times though, just playing locally. And not recording or anything else, but the musicians, the level of musicianship here is equal to anywhere else, but it surpasses most places, again, by the feel of music, the reverence for groove in this town is like no other place. And so there's almost any engagement I've ever played has always felt wonderful. I won't go into names, but the 2 guys that started the trio with me are 2 of the best feeling musicians, Tom Leonardo and Sam Shoup, that I will ever have had the pleasure of playing. I got them into the Jingle House. Neither one of them were working there, but they lost their drummer and they lost their bass player, and I said, well, I think I know just who can do this. And so I had suggested both Sam and Tom for that gig, and but they are not exceptions. Players just know about how important the feel of music has to be, and we have drummers that specialize in everything, some of whom no one's heard of, but if you listen to them, you go, my goodness, incredible in every genre. It's just an amazingly fertile musical place. I just couldn't probably enjoy another area as much as I have Memphis.